we are back today at Busch Gardens, Tampa. This is our first day back since the park opened. I'm excited to be here. I do wish Iron Gwazi was open. We'll go ahead and we'll walk by that in a little bit to see how it's looking. I heard they took some of the construction walls down, so see if we could see any of that. To come to Busch Gardens, you need to make a reservation, but what's interesting is that they didn't even check my reservation when we walked in. They just checked the passes. Well,
they did check our passes, but I have a feeling it's registered to your pass. So like by checking the pass, it's automatically going to show that your reservation was made.
I don't know. There is actually a separate ticket, and when I went to SeaWorld the other day, I had to show them both.
Oh, okay.
So I think they're just trying to get people in.
Yeah, I think so.
So far, we went and we parked, and because we have platinum passes, we got to park over in preferred parking, and they had their own separate temperature check booth.
There are two separate tents. There's a tent for standard, and then there's a tent for premium. So we were kind of confused for a second. We're like, hey, there's a fence here. We can't cross over to get to the tent. We're gonna have to walk all the way around. And then we rounded a corner, and I saw that they had a separate tent for preferred parking.
Yeah, and you do have to go through the temperature check booth. You also have to make sure you bring face coverings with you. I recommend bringing more than one, because if you get sweaty or if you get wet, you do a water ride or it rains or whatever, you might want to change your face covering. Now, I've been to several theme parks already. I've rode roller coasters with the mask on. I've had no problems with anything with the mask, so I don't foresee today being a problem.
No, I don't think it's going to be any different. Just as a heads up, if you guys do forget a mask, or for some reason you left it in your car and you don't want to walk all the way back and take the tram and all of that, they have a spot where you can purchase face coverings right before the temperature screening. And
here they have Busch Gardens themed ones, like if you want to put an animal print mask or an animal face.
It's pretty helpful.
Yeah, so they do have those if you do want to wear something from Busch Gardens. And we're going to take a look around. We're going to see what's going on. As far as the social distancing, so far when we went through the temperature check, they did have green paint on the ground, like little dots to show people where to stand. So far, from what I've heard with Busch Gardens, and we're going to find out soon, is that this particular park is having the most trouble with enforcing the masks. I saw in other people's videos a lot of people not wearing their mask right. They just sort of have it down, hanging out.
Well, there were some people that weren't even wearing them at all. They're just walking, and they're not being stopped by team members, which
I'm a little
kind of
surprised by that. Yeah,
Universal seems like it was on it. Like if they saw somebody, they would say, hey, you have to put your mask on right now.
Yeah,
But anyway, before we get started, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. If you're brand new to our channel, we talk about all things theme park related. And now we're going to show you guys what to expect if you come to Busch Gardens.
And I am smiling. Okay, all right, so we're gonna go ahead and get our day started and see what we could do here at Busch Gardens today. We are by Iron Gwazi. Iron Gwazi was supposed to be open already, but unfortunately because of the shutdown, it's not. I think that all that's left is, from what I had read, RMC has to finish training the employees on it, and then it should be good to go. I'm not entirely sure how long that's going to be. Hopefully not too long. I'm thinking that that might be why Busch Gardens is requiring reservations. I can't really think of any other reason, because Busch Gardens is not really that busy of a park most of the time.
There were rumors at one point that they were going to wait until the 2021 season to open Iron Gwazi. I don't believe that's true. I think this park has paid for an expensive, world-class roller coaster. They want to get it open as soon as possible to start making their money back on it.
I hope so. Look at this thing. How high up is that?
That is 200, it's over 200 feet, I believe. And yeah, this is a record-breaking coaster. It's going to be record-breaking once it's open.
And we rode, Adam's actually wearing the shirt today. We rode an RMC while we were in California at Six Flags. We rode Twisted Colossus. And that was, I don't even know how to explain it. That's a life-changing experience. But it was just a great ride. So I am super excited to see how this is going to be once it's completely open.
Oh, I think it's going to be mind-blowing. There are a lot of elements on this ride that are just go above and beyond anything that this park has right now, including the 91-degree drop.
Yeah, so hopefully we're going to get to see that sometime this year, hopefully sooner than later. One thing about this park is that I did check the app. Adam is actually on the app right now to see about wait times. I did check the app to see if there was anything done to it, like at Universal, for instance, there's virtual queues for some of the rides. And over here, there's not virtual queues. You're just going to get online. So when I was at SeaWorld, the park was empty, and the park is actually pretty empty here today as well. But there were still some significant waits, and I think that that's because there's extra sanitizing procedures in place. I think they're sending out a certain amount of trains, and then they're going ahead and they're cleaning everything down before the next group gets on.
What I've heard is they're cleaning and sanitizing every hour and then running the trains empty. So by doing that, they have to run the trains a few times to dry them off. Right now on the app, according to the app, there are 2 rides currently down.
Really?
Shikara and Cobra's Curse.
Oh no.
Cheetah Hunt has the longest wait with 60 minutes. Montu has 30 minutes. Every other ride is 5 minutes, a walk-on. So
Well,
what I'm thinking we should do is to go over to Tigris, because it's a 5-minute wait.
Where's Tigris?
Tigris is going to be once you get to Iron Gwazi, you're going to hang left, and you're going to eventually get to Tigris.
Okay, let's go ahead and
do
do
that,
that.
because that's one of my favorite rides here. If we can ride that a bunch of times in a row, I am down.
One of the things that they have over here at Busch Gardens that I didn't see at the other parks is they have hand washing stations set up. How do you use this thing? I guess
So
you
there's
would.
a foot pump.
Oh, okay.
So for example, if I wanted to come over here and wash my hands, I feel like it's time to do that. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to step on this foot pump. Water comes out of this little faucet right here. I'm surprised that's not automated, but it's not a big deal. Always be aware, do not refill any type of drink cup with this water. This is reclaimed water. You will get sick. You don't want to do that. Anytime you want water to come out of the foot pump, I feel like my hands are clean, and there are paper towels right here. And a conveniently located trash can with no doors, so you don't have to touch it. That's it. My hands are clean. When you get to animal exhibits such as these, like the flamingos, you have green markers on the ground to show where you should stand. They're placed about 6 feet apart. Your next party will stand here. And you can look at these beautiful little guys doing their thing. Looks like there's a little battle going on over there.
So there's definitely not a lot of people here today. The park is pretty dead. What's really interesting though is that everything that I had heard was going on here is correct. They're not really enforcing the face coverings. It's kind of weird. I've seen a lot of people either completely not wearing them, or they have them like they're wearing them wrong. They're just completely pulled down. I think that the only way that you're really gonna get people to cooperate with that is somebody has to be around to enforce it. And I don't even see a lot of people that work here around today.
No,
So
I haven't noticed a lot of team members. I think we've kind of scaled back on how many team members are working.
yeah, it's definitely interesting. But just to give you an idea of what the park looks like today. Like there's just literally nobody here. Here we have a locker room. We rented a locker because we are going to go ahead and ride a couple rides. I just want to show that they do have markers on the ground for social distancing. So if you go to rent a locker, there are clear indicators on the ground of where you should be standing so that you're not in somebody else's space. All right, so we just rode a couple rides. We rode Tigress and we rode Shikra. As I mentioned before, I did wear my mask on roller coasters before, so I already knew it wasn't going to be a problem. It was going to stay on. And you were fine.
No problems at all. I think on Shikra it started moving up a little bit, but it never felt like it was going to come off of my face. Like, to solve the issue, I went, that's it, and it was fine.
Yeah, I didn't have any problems with my mask. One thing I did notice while we were in the queue, one of the people that works here finally kind of yelled out to people, if you're in the line, you have to wear your mask, because now you're in the line, you're in close proximity with other people. So that's where not wearing your mask properly or not wearing it at all starts to affect others. As I had said, I had seen in some other vloggers' videos that this was going to be the one part that would seem to have the least enforcement for the masks. And I'm not even really sure why they say that the masks are required. It seems here like it's more, they're treating it more like a recommendation. You should be wearing your mask because it is the rules, but we see a lot of people not wearing masks or just not wearing them properly. The wait times have been pretty good today. We had a pretty easy time getting onto both Tigress and Shikra. We didn't wait too long. It looks like Stanley Falls Flume is not running today. When I was over at SeaWorld, Journey to Atlantis wasn't running either, so I'm not really sure what's going on with that. Hopefully it will be running a little bit later, but it doesn't look like it at all. Shikra wasn't running when we first got here, but Shikra did turn on, but I think this is something to do specifically with the water rides.
Well, I think right now they're sanitizing things on a rotating schedule, because I'm looking at the app right now, and when we first got here, Shikra and Cobra's Curse were closed temporarily, and now I'm on the app again. Falcon's Fury and Cheetah Hunter closed temporarily. So I think they're doing sanitation, extra sanitizing in groups of 2. That's what it seems like. The rides are being sanitized in groups of 2.
So it's lunchtime right now. We are not having a lot of luck. This kind of happened to me the other day at SeaWorld. I don't know what it is about SeaWorld and Busch Gardens, but they don't have things open all day. They don't have as many places to eat as when I go to Disney or Universal. Yeah. So I don't know.
We'll have to find something. I mean, something has to be open for food.
Yeah.
So we're gonna try our luck over here and see what we can find.
We're over by the Dragon Fire Grill. This is open, so we did get to eat lunch over here.
Yeah.
And it's not too bad because at least they have some gluten-free options for me. So when we went inside of there, they had markers on the ground showing you where you're supposed to go to make sure that you're sticking with the social distancing. There were markers all over the place. It looks like they also had less tables in there.
They had a lot less tables in there, and they moved those 6 feet apart as the regulations dictate that you have to do.
Yeah, so that went fine. And it doesn't look like everything is open though. We did walk by a couple other restaurants and we noticed that they weren't open.
Yeah.
So, well, at least we got something to eat.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm satisfied now.
We finished what we were doing over in this area. We rode Scorpion and we rode Falcon's Fury. Falcon's Fury is always fun. I would definitely recommend to avoid going on Scorpion for several reasons. Number one, it's an outdated coaster. We ride it pretty much just for the sake of riding it. I'm not even sure why the park hasn't replaced it with something better. But the problem is in that queue, they're allowing the people that have the access to skip the lines. So there's absolutely no social distancing. The way that queue is, you're like, There's two sides and they're just standing right next to you, not paying attention.
So basically imagine, if you will, a railing right here. And then this is the express pass, right? The skid lines, and this is the normal queue. They don't have the social distancing staggered. So basically you're stuck right, if you're only a party of 2 like we are, and you're standing next to a party of 6 people, those 6 people will take up more room than the dots are placed for you to social distance, if that makes sense. So basically you are stuck.
Yeah, there's nowhere to move away from them. There's no, and it's not worth it because it's not even that great of a ride.
Exactly.
All right, it looks like we're getting closer to cheetah hunt, and you see the penguins happily swimming around over here.
Hi guys.
I bet they're happy if people are back.
Yeah.
The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go and get our stuff put away so that we could take a ride on cheetah hunt. As far as the social distancing goes on rides, what they're doing is they're seating people with their party, but they're putting a row between it so that you're not sitting with strangers.
All right, chums, I think that is gonna do it for us today here over at Busch Gardens. We got to ride a lot of rides today. I think the only thing we didn't do was Kumba, but that's okay. We've been on it so many times, and now we live an hour and a half away. It's much easier for us to just come out here for a day and not have to drive all the way home. So what did we learn today about Busch Gardens?
I love Busch Gardens. This is one of my favorite parks, and I hate to say it, this was the most unsafe that I felt at any of the parks that I've been to since they reopened. 80%, and I'm not even exaggerating, it's in our footage, 80% of people either completely took the mask off or they were wearing it improperly. They're just not following rules. Now, I don't know if the mask really does anything or not. There's a lot of conflicting information that comes out, and I'm not a medical professional. But I do know that if you're wearing a mask and you keep playing with it after you've touched railings, walls, everything that everybody else has been touching, you are more likely to pick up some sort of germs or whatever because you're constantly sticking your hands near your face. So in my opinion, if you're gonna come here, follow the rules and wear the mask. If you're not going to follow the rules and you're going to keep playing with the mask, I think you're putting yourself at more exposure. So if you're not ready to wear the mask and follow the rules, I really think that you should think if you really want to come here, because it's just my opinion that if you keep touching things and you keep touching the mask and you're touching your nose, I feel like you're just more at risk than just leaving the mask on your face and doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, you're asking for trouble. I mean, there have been a few times I've needed to adjust my mask, but you know what? I make sure I grab by the sides and pull down, and that's it. I'm not pulling the mask off, hanging it around, touching my face, touching the wall, then putting the mask back on. Anytime I go to remove my mask to eat or drink, I wash my hands immediately after I'm done eating or drinking and before I touch my mask again.
And the ambassadors are not enforcing it. We've gone through queues. People over in Montu, people were sitting on the wall. One thing I want to bring up I think is interesting. With a Platinum Pass, one of the benefits that we get, and we're paying to have a Platinum Pass, is that we get to re-ride something. They have suspended that right now, but they're still selling the virtual, the skip the line.
Yeah, there still is the skip the line.
Yeah, and then what happens is some of the queues you can't social distance if both of those lines are open. I wish that I had brought the GoPro with us over to Scorpion. Scorpion's a complete mess. Montu is a complete mess. In the queue, you have both lines running. You've got walls where people could sit on and they're not wearing their masks. They're sitting on the wall, so there was no social distancing. And I just think that the ambassador should really be on top of it, but it might not be their fault. There might not be enough of them here. But when they did see people, I only saw 1 or 2 ambassadors comment to people that you need to put your mask on properly, cover your nose and cover your mouth. So they're not enforcing it. So if you're not feeling comfortable with going to a park until a lot of these restrictions lift, or or whatever, I don't know if it's the right time to visit Busch Gardens. I love this park, and I hate to say it, but it definitely was the most uncomfortable out of all the parks that I've been to.
I absolutely agree. I mean, I still had a great time. I still got to see all the really beautiful animals that they have here, and I got to ride some of my favorite roller coasters. And I'm sitting here staring at Iron Gwazi. It's on the other side of me, and I can't ride it. But that'll be soon. I mean, that's the thing is, you know, okay, yeah, maybe I felt a little less safe here than I would have at like Universal Studios or someplace like that, where they are really, really on top of people not wearing their masks. But if Iron Gwazi opens next week, like, I'm gonna come back to Busch Gardens so I can ride Iron Gwazi. I don't feel that unsafe. Let's put it that way.
It's just, I wish people would follow rules more for their own protection, because like I said, you're spreading germs to yourself if you touch something and you keep touching the mask. You got to keep your hands away from your face.
Well, hopefully, as time goes on with the parks being open, people will start getting used to having to wear the masks, or used to the rules, or maybe we'll get very lucky, the numbers will start dropping for cases of COVID-19, and we could start relaxing some of these regulations. Either way, I think obviously we're going to still do this. We're still coming to the parks, but as Melody said, I think you're going to have to really take a good look at what you feel you can handle as far as safety. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, give our video a like, drop us a comment, let us know what you'd like to see next. Let us know your thoughts on the social distancing practices.
Let us know if you feel comfortable going back to the parks yet.
And if you guys want to receive notifications anytime we upload a new video, go ahead and click that little bell icon. Anyway, we're gonna go head home and eat some dinner. We will see you guys at the parks.